Celebrating the individual. Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.
Hello and welcome to the Silverstone Festival 2023, a historic motorsport event like no other.
That's right, the festival is back bigger than ever with an incredible array of cars. There really is something for everybody. And we're also celebrating 75 years of racing at this iconic location.
But the action isn't just on the track. We have a whole variety of family fun to keep you entertained from morning till night.
So sit back, buckle up those seatbelts and enjoy this jam-packed show.
Want to go dance?
Let's go.
First up, on a weekend of big anniversaries, we travel back in time with the glorious retro sights and sounds of Formula One.
Some of the most iconic F1 cars are unleashed on Silverstone in the Masters Racing Legends.
The International Trophy for Classic GT cars showcases the ultimate automobiles from the swinging 60s.
We take a sneak peek at what's up for auction in this year's collector's car sale with some truly once-in-a-lifetime lots.
Then it's the turn of the historic touring cars, an adrenaline rush for both drivers and spectators.
We'll be looking at how the festival is taking steps towards sustainability.
And revive a Le Mans spectacle of the 60s and 70s. There's so much to look forward to on this three-day motorsport extravaganza, showcasing some truly legendary cars.
Over the last 75 years, Silverstone has seen some of the greatest drivers take to the tarmac, driving in cars that are just impossible to forget.
Yep, from Formula One cars to sports cars.
From GTs to touring.
We've got it all. This track is brimming wall to wall with legendary vehicles from corner to famous corner. So we go on board with British racing driver Alex Brundle to give us a peek at the circuit.
Starting a lap then here at Silverstone for the famous Silverstone Festival. The first one is a fast one. Abbey, the big right-hander, and the second part, flat out in everything but historic. You need to be so careful through the exit. The loop, this tricky right-left chicane, everything protests as you go down the gearbox there. Get hard on the power, out underneath the bridge on the Wellington straight. Make sure you check all your gauges, make sure everything's doing well underneath you, because it's a big stop down in Brooklands. Got to make sure you get that inside curve. And then it's so tricky to get these old historic cars to rotate this GT40. Doing a nice job though through the exit of Luffield. Cox, down one gear, watch that understeer on the exit. You've really got to wait on the throttle, especially in the big GT40. Maggots and Beckett's, you can go faster than you think on the way in, but it's still a downshift on cross-ply tyres. Keep the understeer away by turning in late through the second part of Beckett's, and off we go, down the Hanger straight. Listen to it howl, yeehaw! Big stop on historic brakes down into Stowe. Feels like an open corner in anything else, but in a classic car, it's almost a hairpin. Club and the Vale are now much more open, much faster. There's a big bump in the middle, and you really have to slide the rear in as you cross the line and finish what is one of the best laps in British motorsport.
This this year is an important milestone for the festival as Silverstone celebrates 75 years of motorsport here at the track. And it all started in 1948 when the track hosted its first Grand Prix race. And since then, it has witnessed the evolution of the sport in all its glorious forms over the decades. Fast forward 2 years to 1950, this is exactly where the first ever Formula One race in history was held. Now, to celebrate 75 years of motorsport at Silverstone, we're being treated to a display of Formula One cars throughout the ages.
So the 75th anniversary of the 1948 British Grand Prix at Silverstone. That Mercedes will head out on circuit. Following it will be a selection of different F1 cars. The first ever Tyrrell heading out, Tyrrell 001. A car built in some degree of secrecy in Tyrrell's woodshed. The Surtees, one of our 1970s Cosworth engine cars. And a good example of late 70s high airbox Formula One. Tiny front wings. And here is the Williams Renault, raced to World Championship glory by Jacques Villeneuve. To the AMG Mercedes, this car driven by Lewis Hamilton here at Silverstone in period. Esteban Gutierrez is clearly going to get every moment he can out of the car.
So Esteban, I've been sat on the track side watching this machine go round relatively quickly. This is the newest car here, I think.
Yeah, you're right. It's the newest car. And it's 2013 V8 engine. As you realized on track, it's a noisy engine and so fast.
Yeah, and what's it like to get in what is now a relatively old Formula One car?
Yes, it's true. I mean, it's 10 years ago. Time flies. The feeling and the grip is just amazing.
So this is your first time at Silverstone Festival?
Yes.
And how have you found it?
It's incredible, the amount of cars. I think it's about 900 cars running on the weekend, so it's really impressive to have an event with so many cars. And also the spectators. It's a lot of spectators, and it's amazing to see how special this event is for the UK.
Well, I'm going to leave you to finish off the rest of the day.
Thank you.
And hopefully get to witness you do some more laps.
So I am now joined by somebody that really knows their stuff, from F1 mechanic to TV personality, the brilliant Mark Elvis Priestley.
Hello, how are you?
I'm really good.
What a wonderful place.
I know, I was about to say, I brought you here because you have the most brilliant, illustrious career in F1. So I brought you amongst these amazing specimens. But yeah, tell me how that all started.
Feels like home, I've got to say.
Yeah, exactly.
My F1 career, as you said, started as a mechanic, but it was at McLaren. But the important part about that, and what's relevant here, is that it started with Lewis Hamilton. Lewis started his career at McLaren. I was very fortunate to be part of the team that took him to his first world title in 2008. But we couldn't hang on to him because it was Mercedes who then poached him from us. This is where the hybrid era of Formula One started. So we went from having...
This is the first,
first hybrid car. 18 pole positions, 12 fastest laps. It was a very successful car, and we know the rest is history. Lewis went on to win 6 more world championships in the hands of Mercedes, gone on to become the most successful driver in the history of the sport.
Right, so Williams, I mean, this is just unbelievable, isn't it?
I mean, what a work of art these cars were. But look, one of these things, a bit that really fascinated me, these barge balls. I mean, look at the thousands of hours that go into designing, manufacturing, and then putting those onto the car, and yet they get knocked off every 5 minutes when the drivers make contact with each other or with a curb. I mean,
so delicate.
Hundreds of thousands of pounds in that piece alone. It's incredible, isn't it? She's right behind you. Alain Prost's race-worn crash helmet. How about that?
That was his car.
Exactly that, yeah.
That's amazing. And that's still got the engine in the back, hasn't it?
That comes straight off the racetrack. This, I think, has even got a few little scuffs on it where it's been used. So
has
a
it?
Genuine piece of history. How about that?
Gosh, thank you so much. I could literally listen to you all day. I mean, there is so much to see here, but we've got to go back to the track.
It is a damp Silverstone circuit that greets the Masters racing legends, Formula One cars from 1966 to 1985. Christoph Danseborg is the man who starts on pole position. The Masters racing legends are about to go green at Silverstone on a damp track, very wet past the new pits and drier around the rest of the circuit. Christoph Dansenborg painted onto the white line on the inside, lots of spray for the pole man. Mark Hazel in his Williams FW07B in second place. The entire field is on wet weather tyres with the exception of the first John Player Special Lotus. That is Michael Lyons, car number 11. Immediately Mike Lyons makes the move, pounces on Mark Hazel, and he goes by, and Hazel dropping back down the order, very, very slow down the Wellington Straight, and everybody moving past him around the outside. Michael Lyons going for the lead and getting his in Luffield. That's being very brave, but it is much less wet here. If you run over the curbs you saw from the second Lotus there, then you could be in trouble. But it is Michael Lyons, his intuition, his bravery has paid off. He has taken the lead. Christoph Dansenborg in second. It's the Penske in third, the red and white car of Matt Wrigley. He runs out wide, and Martin Stretton's Tyrrell goes by. The Lotus has gone by as well. Diving up the inside in 99, Jamie Constable, the Tyrrell up to second ahead of the second Lotus. That's the black and gold car number 6 of Nick Padmore. Christoph Dansenborg's Brabham is currently in fourth, make that fifth as through goes the Penske of Matthew Wrigley. And the race leader is Michael Lyons, but in the wettest part of the track they are reeling him in. You already can see Nick Padmore looking for a wet patch as the first of the McLaren, Steve Hartley, comes steaming down the inside. He picks up a place as well, and he's up to sixth place now, I think.
Padmore has taken the lead there through Abbey and Farm, the sweepers. Michael just not got the grip there, but once they get back round to the dry part of the track, he may well get through again.
And a spin from Jamie Constable's Tyrrell out of the lead on wet weather tyres. So just feeling perhaps more confident in the grip than there actually was grip to be confident in. And in the wet again, car number 6, Nick Padmore, just looking to run the cars through the water to try and cool them a fraction to bring the temperature of the tyres down. A change for third, Steve Hartley's McLaren ahead of Jamie Constable with a blue helmet in his green Tyrrell, and then the Penske, and then Martin Stretton. And here comes Mike Cantillon, car number 7, from the back of the grid, goes by the Hesketh 308C, the car made famous by Lord Hesketh and James Hunt back in early 1970s. That's when this Penske was racing as well, whereas the Tyrrell behind it from the early 1980s. There's a decade in development between the two. The Penske PC3 and the Tyrrell 012, and Martin Stretton goes the long way round the outside. Now he's got a distance to chase 99, the 1 year younger Tyrrell of Jamie Constable in front of him. Down the inside comes Steve Hartley for second at Stowe, goes by Nick Padmore. Nick Padmore in third, hanging on in front of Martin Stretton. Jamie Constable now down in 5th place, ahead of Ken Tyrrell. So those two 011 team cars running nose to tail. And through goes Martin Stretton, up to 4th place, up to 3rd place, beg your pardon. Hartley's off in the gravel at Stowe, comes back on. So Stretton is in second and now really hunting for the water. That's possibly part of the reason why he had such a big squirm coming out of the Chapel curve. And here comes Ken Tyrrell, goes around Jamie Constable. That's a big move. Can he hang on the outside? He can. That's fantastic.
And a puncture or a damaged rim, which has caused the puncture.
Yeah,
for
he's hit something there, hasn't he, Paul Grant? So what happens here? Now, is it a tyre deflation? Ooh. No, he understeers from the inside into Werner Dansenborg's car. Hartley now all over the back of the 99 car and through, goes past Jamie Constable. Victory for the ex-Nigel Mansell Lotus 92. Michael Lyons gambled on red, and it came, or gambled on black, let's say, and it came up for him. Michael Lyons winning by over 20 seconds from Martin Stretton and Ken Tyrrell, who are nose to tail almost across the line in 2 different generations of Tyrrell's Formula One family. Steve Hartley's McLaren in 4th, ahead of Mike Cantillon from the back of the grid, yesterday's winner on the road, and Jamie Constable rounding out the top 6.
After the break, we'll be catching up with touring car legend Jason Plato, and there's classic GT action. Don't go away.
Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights. Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.
Welcome back to the Silverstone Festival, where we're celebrating 75 years of motorsport here at this iconic arena. Now, whether it's a heritage vehicle or the state-of-the-art modern car, they all need to be piloted by a racing driver, in which case I'd like to introduce you to a very well-known racing driver, Mr. Jason Plato. Jason,
hello, mate. How are you?
Very good. That's pretty noisy.
Proper atmosphere, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is a special place. We're right by the track. We're on stage. There's going to be a concert tonight. How important is Silverstone to you?
Well, do you know, I can remember coming here in 10 years old in '77, and it made such an impression way back when, but then, you know, catapult forward a few years, I've won quite a few races here. It's a really special place. I mean, it's a home of British motorsport. It's epic. You know, this is a great event because we see some fantastic cars being driven by some really great drivers and enthusiastic owners. It's nice to be here. Sun shining. What's not to like?
Yeah, it doesn't get better than this. Now let's get back to business here at Silverstone with more thrills and spills over on the racetrack.
Next up at the festival, the International Trophy for Classic GT cars. More than 60 gorgeous pre-66 racers lined up and ready to go. Coming to the line as we get ready to start the 50-minute race, the International Trophy for Classic GT cars. On pole, Julian Thomas and Callum Lockie's Cobra Daytona with the white stripe, but down the inside, the Daytona Coupe of Davin Olivier Hart, straight into the lead, the lime green car, and straight back out of it as John Davison's 88 TVR Griffiths takes the lead, a couple taking the unofficial shortcut, and that is going to drop them a little further back down the order. A couple of lock-ups as well, pale blue Cobra there. That's the car that Andy Prio will drive a little later in the race. That survives. But right now, the Daytona Coupe's second and third. It is the TVR Griffith, which has a similar Ford V8 engine in front, which leads the field. Here comes a Jaguar E-Type down the outside. Now, the best qualified E-Type was John Minshaw and Phil Keen's car. Phil Keen started out, Mike Whittaker with a huge moment in the TVR, just gathers it up on the runoff area. Yeah, years ago in period, he'd have been bouncing across the grass there.
Oh, and John Davison goes wide. Just missed his braking point there, managed to control it, but he's up onto the grass now and trying to get back onto the track. That's let Phil Keen through.
Here comes the TVR, down into Maggots, no way through there, maybe on the hanger straight, but if he figures that Julian Thomas is coming through into the pits, he might not bother trying to make the pass there. Julian with his wheels on the grass on the inside as he turned into Beckett's, and a big moment for him. Nigel Greensill, a little neater and tidier, goes through, takes the lead as they exit the Chapel Curve onto the hanger straight. Now, the pit window is open. Is Julian Thomas going to go straight on here, or is he going to race on? He races on. Whoa! And suddenly Julian Thomas realises that the door is really closing. Nigel Greensill, trying to avoid running into the back of the pale blue MGB Roadster, has to just tighten the line, and Julian Thomas did really well to react to that potential danger before the gap closed too small. Now, looking around the outside into Brooklands, piling the pressure on Greensill. Greensill goes in flat. He's looking out the side window to see exactly where the nose of the Cobra was before he decided where he could take the line. this is where you need to flash the headlights and get your hand on the horn as well in the TVR. Get out the way, I'm coming through. Julian Thomas all over the back of him. And the way that Daytona Coupe wags its tail is going to clear here. Plenty of space, and there was contact, and much too much of a slide there. And the Daytona Coupe of Julian Thomas heads into the pit lane. Callum Lockie will be waiting. And there is the Greensall Spires car. Nigel out, and John Spears getting in.
The Callum Lockie car is ahead of the Greensall Spears car, so the 192 car has come out half a Beckett's length ahead.
Here is the car that was the race leader, Mike Whittaker in the pit lane. So where does he come out? Well, there he is. He is scampered out of the pits.
And he's ahead, because he's coming into the loop and Lockie was coming into Village.
Getting very tight. There's Glenn Eagling. So Glenn Eagling right behind Mike Whittaker. So that yellow Ginetta, there he is. That's the battle between the Ginetta and the TVR. So that's the battle for third. Dan Eagling looks to go a long way around the outside onto the Wellington Straight. These two cars are circulating faster than the two in front. 2:27s for the Daytona Coupe, and the TVR, as another TVR goes off backwards. Is that 88? Yes, it is. That's John Davison again, and somebody following him. And Davison looks like a left rear suspension collapse, does it? And there's an E-Type off in the barriers, and we have a safety car. That's a very substantial impact from the E-Type. Very glad to see that the driver is out and okay, although probably feeling fairly sick contemplating the repair bill. There we go, red flag is out. Victory has gone to Julian Thomas and Callum Lockie. So the race is over and everybody will head into the pits. Julian Thomas, Callum Lockie winning it in the Shelby American Cobra Daytona Coupe from Nigel Greensall and John Spears in the TVR Griffith, with the pale blue TVR of Mike Whittaker completing the podium.
OK, so I am joined by two British touring car legends. We've got Matt Neal and we've got Gordon Shedden. So, guys, obviously you've just stepped out of car. How was it?
I've been in two cars today, a little Mark 1 Escort, Group 2 Escort this morning, which went really well, great, in mixed conditions. And then this afternoon in a Lister Le Mans Sunbeam Tiger.
Oh, wow.
Which is a 60s car. I always need my brave pills before I get in it.
May I just touch a little bit on the festival? I think it's one of the best kind of motoring events that we have.
It's changed and it's grown so much, and it's just become such a family event. And obviously we're passionate about motorsport, but you see so many families here, maybe more families than I've ever seen at a motorsport event. And I think it's great to encourage the next generation to come through as well.
And you've got your son here, and I think you're driving tomorrow with him, right?
It is a proper family affair, more than people imagine, because Henry's driving with Gordon in the family Cortina. I tried to get my dad to do a race with us for 30 years because he raced originally, and he never would, but he passed away 8 weeks ago. We got his ashes back 10 days ago, so his ashes are now in the ballast box for the Cortina for the race tomorrow. So it is a proper family affair.
So he's going racing where the guns are now.
Oh my God, I mean, that's an amazing thing. I'm sure he'll be very, very proud. No pressure to you take care of.
Whether he likes it or not, he's in.
Well, listen, thank you so much for sparing 5 minutes with us. Good luck tomorrow.
Pleasure.
I shall be watching. You be very careful.
I'm on best behaviour, best behaviour.
But anyway, brilliant luck tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Coming up next, we check out who else is celebrating a milestone anniversary here at the festival, and we're going to have a peek at what cars are for sale in the Classic Car Auction.
Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights. Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.
Welcome back to Silverstone, where we get access to some of the most unique cars in motorsport history, and none more so than the cars that are coming up for sale in this year's auction. Okay, so how many cars are you selling over the whole weekend?
So we've got 50 competition cars in the sale and 150 classics. So, yeah, a real selection, something for everybody.
What would you say are the real standout lots?
Well, in the competition car sale, we've got the Colin McRae cars, which is very exciting. Colin, of course, was a real legend, and the McRae family have very kindly trusted us to look after their cars. Wow. But there's also many other supercars in there. In fact, the film Gran Turismo, which has just come out.
Love it.
The two cars that are in that film are also in the sale. So we've got lots of topical things, as well as some thoroughbred competition cars. You know, we've got £10 million of the cars here to sell, and
no pressure.
No pressure at all.
Now, as tempting as all these cars are, there is one man that does not need to buy any more cars, and that is our Ant. Now, talking about Ant, where is he? He's supposed to be throwing to the MRL Historic Touring Car Challenge. I don't know where he is.
The MRL Historic Touring Car Challenge at the Silverstone Festival. So the race already underway, but the safety car has pulled in. They've had a couple of looks at the track, and they go green this time round. And there, the Watson's Water RS500 coming steaming down the inside. That's a livery from the races in Macau. Watson's Water, one of the local sponsors there. And it is the two RS500s that lead away. The Cologne Capri, that is Richard Kent, the white and blue car, from fourth on the grid, and a very gentle start from James Hansen in the red and black Advan Skyline. He's got the David Tomlinson RS500. David Tomlin going up the inside, didn't quite squeeze through. And looks as though Julian Thomas went in very deep there, manages to get around Luffield. They're all trying to go the long way around the outside. We've got a spinning BMW.
And I think that Capri that was in third place, challenging almost for the lead, when it got onto the wet, it dropped way back and started slithering around. I think he might be on slicks, which was probably the car I saw sliding around on the warm-up lap as well. And there it is at the top of the screen now, those two blue Capris. Just keep an eye out on this dry side of the track.
So Julian Thomas taking the lead in the Caliber Sierra, and now suddenly the Skylines seem to be switched on. And they're starting to move back up the order, spitting flame on the upshifts and on the downshifts. Oh, and a spin for our pole man, Paul Mensley, out of second place, or out of what was third place. A rare day when Callum Lockheed puts a wheel off, never mind the entire car off into the tyre wall. Now, has the leader missed the pit window? It's from 15 minutes to 30 minutes in the race. There are less than 20 minutes to go. Pit window is closed. The leader has made a mistake, and they will have a penalty for that. They have missed the window as the safety car comes out, and that may be to rescue that Cortina. Again, it seems a long way off the racing line. And at the side of the road is the car that was on pole position. Safety car peels into the pit lane. We are getting ready to go back to racing once more. So the safety car and the pit stops have jumbled up the order of the cars on track. And is that the race leader? Yes, he is. So in traffic everywhere, that is Wim Kuhl. And he started in 11th place on the grid and bided his time in the opening couple of laps. But this Cosworth GA V6 engine Capri is absolutely flying. Well, I don't know what Wim Kuhl possibly imagined might be the outcome of racing here at Silverstone, but maybe finishing on the Capri on the podium might not have been among his wildest imaginings. He has got James Hansen right behind him, coming alongside him, and the Skyline, unsurprisingly, 20 years the junior of the Capri, with a lot more horsepower, goes by. And of course that four-wheel drive helping him launch it off the slow corner. But That car did stop outside the pit window quite clearly. Whether they will get a penalty remains to be seen.
There's our third-placed car, the Watson's Water car, which is just coming up the Hamilton Straight.
And the Skyline, Hansen slowed it right down. Hansen dramatically slowing down on the straight. And that is an issue for the car that was the race leader. The Capri has gone back in front. Wim Coyle leading with 6 seconds on the clock. Last lap drama for Andy Middlehurst and James Hansen, so whether or not they're due a penalty becomes irrelevant.
And we have news from Ed Foster in the pit lane that the Capri is due a penalty as well for a short pit stop.
Oh my goodness.
And also the Skyline, which we knew about, for missing the window, and apparently they're going to apply the penalties after the race. And the penalty for a short pit stop is not 30 plus the short time, it's 10 seconds plus the short time.
Okay.
As he takes the flag.
The Watson's Water Sierra RS 500 coming out of the final corner will take the checkered flag, not first, but second on the road, and 52 seconds, including the time penalty added in, behind Wim Coyle in the Capri. After random weather, safety cars and some rather haphazard pit stoppery, it is the Dutchman Wim Coyle's Cologne Capri from 1975 that wins the historic Touring Car Challenge. Max Goff driving solo in the Sierra 500. RS 500 finished second ahead of Rickwood's Skyline. Mike Manning's Texaco Eggenberger Sierra in fourth, ahead of the Middlehurst and Hansen Skyline, which finished its race in the pit lane. The festival always starts with a bang thanks to historic Formula Juniors. Another suitably epic grid, 54 cars, but we lost last year's double winner Michael O'Brien on the very first lap of the race as he had to retire his Lotus. Horatio Fitzsimon in the red Lotus with yellow wheels slid out wide, giving away the lead to Sam Wilson in another of Colin Chapman's designs. But in traffic, the closely following Alex Ames sneaked through on the inside in his Brabham to take a late lead. But it was not to last. On the final lap, Wilson once more slipped in front to win from Alex Ames and Samuel Harrison. Thundersport's pole sitter Michael Lyons lost out in the drag race to the first turn to the 8.8 litre blue Can-Am car of Mark Williams, who then edged him onto the grass. A fired-up Lyons gesticulated, then retaliated. The 1981 Le Mans contender, built around a Hesketh 308 Formula One car, drove off into the lead as Williams spun into retirement. Up to second, Dan Eagling in the 2 litre class-leading Royale RP17, while Ross Hyatt's dark blue 5 litre Lola T70 jumped Tim De Silva in the closing stages for third. Andy Smith's Formula 2 BMW March led the Formula Libre race from a comfortable pole, as from the back of the grid, Henry Chart in a Formula 5000 Trojan charged through the order. A rare mistake for Smith put him off into the gravel. Young Henry Chart coming by him in a car that he'd never seen, never mind driven, before the start of the race. Contact between Mark Goodyear's 2 litre March and Frank Lyons' Formula 3000 Lola left the yellow car stranded in the road and the red flags flying to bring the race to a conclusion. A back-to-front victory for Henry Chart.
Now, there's always plenty to see here with some of the best paddock access that any car fan could wish for. Add to that some of the jaw-dropping displays from car clubs from all across the country, and you've got the recipe for any car lover's dream.
I like the Aston Martin club, and they're really cool cars.
The noise, the smell, yeah, it's going to be excellent.
So you've come here in your Lotus. Where do you
camping
think your tent?
In the boot, believe it or not.
You must have the smallest tent in the history of tents.
It's not too bad, actually. You can just about stand up in it. It's only a 3-man, but yeah, it's surprising what you can squeeze in behind the wheel arches and stuff.
There are 140 Astons here, which are all going on the track. Mine is a stunning DB9 GT Volante, 540 brake horsepower, very, very fast.
Of all the brands available, why would you choose this brand?
It's your car. Oh, it's got to be James Bond.
Really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's nothing as sad as that.
Anniversary as well.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. But no, iconic British car.
And my grandson will say to me, "Grandad, go faster." I say, "Arthur, we've got the future of our family in the car. I'm not doing that."
After the break, we'll be getting all the action from the newly launched Masters GT Trophy Series. And I'll be switching gears. From historic to future, I'll be talking all things electric. See you soon.
Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights. Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.
Welcome back to the Silverstone Festival, your one-stop shop for historic motorsports and a lot more besides. Now, we're going to have a catch-up with Martin Haven for a roundup of the very best wheel-to-wheel action out on track.
Chris Milner led the Masters GT Trophy field away from pole position in his Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo as a battle royal developed behind Craig Wilkins, moving up into second place in his purple and white Super Trofeo Evo before diving through into Stowe and grabbing the lead. Jason McAnulty, also in a Super Trofeo Evo, grabbed second spot. The fastest of the GT cars was the Aston Martin Vantage of Paul White. He moved ahead of Milner for fifth position. After the mandatory mid-race pit stops, White's teammate Alistair McKinnon took up the running, passing Jason McAnulty for second place on the final lap as Craig Wilkins romped to victory. The Maserati 250F of John Spears took an early lead in the front-engine Grand Prix race, only to spin it away in the Beckett's S's and be passed by Rod Jolly. The unique Monza Grand Prix Lister Jag was repassed by Spears to take the lead. Mark Shaw in the Scarab with his Offenhauser engine then passed Rod to take second place before overhauling the 250 Mazda to claim victory at the checkered flag.
And that's just a fraction of what we've got for you. There's plenty more full throttle action still to come. Whilst retro racing is at the heart of the festival, Silverstone always has half an eye on the future. From its shift to zero sustainability strategy to an all-new trackside dwelling for the ultimate motorsport fan. Silverstone is always forging ahead, so I'm off for a little EV test drive. Or ride.
I've come down here to Switch Live to see what the future looks like for the automotive industry. Electric vehicles are fast becoming the new normal. And as you can see, I'm surrounded by all the big-name manufacturers. There are also some really exciting innovations around the world of fuel, particularly a sustainable synthetic fuel that is 100% fossil-free. So I'm going to go to a company that is leading in this area and find out a little bit more. Benjamin, just explain a little bit about P1 Fuels.
So, P1 Fuels is the producer of 100% synthetic fuels. We are born and raised in racing, so we are still the supplier of WRC and other championships. So it has the same fuel standard, it has the same normation. If you try to put it in a car, it does exactly the thing that it would do in fossil fuel without producing new carbon. I think we need all technologies to compete against the use of fossil fuel. So whether that's electric, whether that's e-fuels, whether that's hydrogen potentially, we need all combine these technologies to give everybody a solution for the future to step away from the fossil fuel.
And so which cars are you running this weekend on it?
So all the cars that you see in the background,
these?
we're trying to have the best of Britain, going from the Defender to pre-wars to radicals, to showcase that it's not only race cars, it's not only pre-wars, it's any car. We use the past to ride the future, and that's exactly why we're here for.
Time to get back to the track with the best of today's action.
32 sports racers from the 1970s about to do battle for 50 minutes for for the Yokohama Trophy. The gorgeous yellow Ferrari 512M of Gary Pearson and Alex Brundle will lead the field away. We head into the evening sunshine, led away by Gary Pearson in the pole-sitting Ferrari 512M, and right away it's David Hart on the inside in the second Ferrari, looking to snap at his heels and squeeze by. He moves up into second place. From the outside of the front row of the grid, the yellow and blue car of James Claridge, that's the Ultramar Lola. He's in third position, and right behind him is the red and white car of Diogo Ferrao and Martin Stretton, and it is Ferrao who has started that car. Car number 4, the white Lola with the red and blue stripes, Ollie Bryant in 5th position, and everybody else on cold tyres struggling for grip as the Ferraris go wheel to wheel, and David Hart sides down the inside to take the lead from Gary Pearson. It is a Ferrari 1-2. Ollie Bryant and O'Connell right behind in the 2 Lola T70s. They're now all over the back of Gary Pearson. And Ollie Bryant suddenly now comes under pressure himself. He goes from attack to defence, and he does not defend successfully as Martin O'Connell dives up the inside, and through he goes. Now he is up to third. Oh, the leader spun off. David Hart there at the side of the track. The leader has spun off, and it is now Gary Pearson in the yellow 512 that is our race leader. Martin O'Connell in second, and through goes Martin O'Connell. I don't think Gary Pearson was expecting it there, and Martin O'Connell takes the lead, and here comes Ollie Bryant as well. Bryant driving on his own, will have to stop for just as long as everybody else, but he sends it up the inside for second place. Ooh, and a Ferrari's still there, and that just little upset of the rhythm for Gary Pearson has cost him not 1 but 2 places.
We find a Chevron B8.
Yeah, that's a Christian Pittard, Darren Burt car. That's lost a wheel. Yeah,
safety car been called, and it's probably to recover that car.
This will be a full field pit stop. It means that the entire field will be packed together when they head out on track. Safety car is in. We go back to green flag racing. The little 2-litre Chevron B8 of Callum Lockie tried to get a real run away, but in the end, horsepower counts here. Ain't no substitute for cubes, and the 5-litre V8 of the Lola T70s were fully wound up as Ollie Bryant moves by into the lead. Steve Brooks in second, and Lockie now trying to defend third place against the Ferrari, driven for the first time by Alex Brundle, the yellow car on the inside of 192, the little Chevron B8. They're 3 wide behind. They're basically queuing up to give Callum Locking a right kicking. Through goes the Paddock. Tim De Silva's picked up a couple of places from the restart. Through comes Olivier Hart in number 14, the red Ferrari 512. He disposes of the 2-litre Chevron and Lola behind, goes inside the Paddock, doesn't make it under braking.
Alex Brundle up into second place. No, they're still side by side as they go through Maggots and into Beckett's, but finally Alex gets the move done as they move into Beckett's, so Steve Brooks down to third.
The Brundle-Pearson car, 2 minutes 4.288 on the last lap. Brundle, the fastest man, the fastest lap in the race, and now he goes through on the inside of Ollie Bryant. Alex Brundle takes the lead into Copse Corner.
Unfortunately, we're going to see the number 14 car come into the pits for a stop-go penalty, I'm afraid, and a drive-through for what is being described as a false start and yellow start rule. So I can only assume that's something to do with the restart after the safety car.
Tim De Silva now with Martin Stretton, the red and white number 65 Lola, closing in behind him.
Martin Stretton in great position to take a tow down the Wellington Straight. Will he dive out at the last minute? Yes, he is. He's going to try and outbrake on the inside into Brooklands, and he manages that. That puts him up into third place.
And the worry for De Silva is Gonzalo Gomez. That Ultramar Lola is another 2-litre car, but it is circulating quicker at the minute than the 2 that are in front of it. So that's a really good run for Gonzalo Gomez. 1977 car, the cars in front of it are a little earlier, little less aerodynamically efficient perhaps. Tim De Silva checking the mirrors. Look how low that Ultramar Lola is. He can barely see past the back of the Tadec and even see the driver's helmet. And around the outside, Gonzalo Gomez goes by.
And Gomez through past Stretton. So a third place at the moment, but Martin Stretton isn't giving up. He's looking for a good tow down the Hanger Straight. He's right in behind, underneath that very, very sleek Ultramar car in front, and down into Stowe Corner. He goes for the inside. Is Martin Stretton going to go through? No, I think Gomez is just going to stay ahead.
The Yokohama Trophy goes to car number 23, started by Gary Pearson, finished by Alex Brundle, a flamboyant slide across the line. Victory for the Ferrari. Ollie Bryant in the family Lola in second place, and Gonzalo Gomez brings the Ultramar Lola across the line in third. So it is Gary Pearson and Alex Brundle who claim victory in the Ferrari. Ollie Bryant in the Lola T70 in second, and then the best of the 2-litre clutch, the Claridge & Gomez Ultramar Lola ahead of Ferrao and Stretton's Lola, Tim De Silva in the Paddock and Henry Fletcher in the Chevron, ahead of the next of the big bangers, the Lola T70 of Baton and Hadfield.
As the festivities continue here at the festival, unfortunately, we've run out of time for today.
But fear not, because we will be bringing you a jam-packed second show that includes multiple Olympian Sir Chris Hoy behind the wheel of a classic Ford Mustang.
And we celebrate all the sights and the sounds of NASCAR as the all-American muscle cars have their debut here.
Now, while all the families are settling in for this evening's concert, sadly, from the festival from us, it's goodbye.
Bye.
Celebrating the individual, Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.